Ooh, there's a countdown.
All right. Welcome everybody to Crushing It on LinkedIn. We are, and I have exclamation points on everything when I created this and shared it because this is going to be super fun, super energy. We already were having a good time here backstage in the green room. Now we're live on stage. You know, the reason that one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to do this event is my son Mitch graduated college in the spring and he's job hunting. And I must have said 900 million times this summer, dude, get on LinkedIn. Dude, get on LinkedIn because I have built so many relationships. In some of the stuff leading up to this, I said I walked into a convention center of 12,000 people at a conference and somebody hollered, "That's Kristin Smedley from LinkedIn. I've spent every morning with you for 2 weeks." Like the way that you can get visibility and really be known as a thought leader, as a business person, and especially a job seeker to connect with the right position. I've just seen the incredible power of LinkedIn. And then I was watching the past couple of months and I'm like, man, and Joe, who you'll all meet in a hot second if you don't know him yet, is with Speaker Scale, a company that I joined to build my speaking business, my impact on stages. I needed to really learn systems for outbound. And then we started through speakers in our group and connections and all really learning about LinkedIn and watching how Joe teaches using LinkedIn to grow that business. Then at the same time, I'm watching Matt all summer go from losing a job at Microsoft, being let go with the whole big groups of people that was happening with, and then utilizing LinkedIn to not only get another job but get back to Microsoft, which was the goal that he kept telling us all summer. I was like literally sitting here in my space in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, cheering. I'm like, he is so getting back to Microsoft. And Matt's back. And then when we were all talking, then Matt's like, "You got to know Jennison. Wait till you hear what he's got going on." So I'm like, this is like super fun that we're all together to talk about the power of LinkedIn, but also I have been, if you have been following me on LinkedIn, you know that I'm out there all the time saying that hiring people with disabilities is not just a compliance thing. It is a competitive advantage. And I give all the reasons and I talk on stages all over the place about this. And then I go, I'm kind of tired of telling you all that this is the benefit. Let me just show you. So, as I'm creating all of these virtual events to share the information that I'm blessed to know and the people I'm blessed to know, I'm like, we're just going to have the panels and the groups and the conversations be everyone, all abilities. And I love it when us sighted folks are outnumbered by the blind and low vision folks. Today it's 50-50. We're sharing the stage. It's good stuff. So all of that, let me just get over to the chat box. If you're watching live on LinkedIn right now, you can comment if you've got questions, comments, cheers, whatever you got going on. I can see them from where I am, and we will work to address any questions and whatnot. So, okay, let's. I will have this a little bit organized, but I know that we can just riff all of us and all different things. So we'll have a good time with this. Let's start with Matt. Let's just jump right in with you because I really was astounded this summer watching how you did your journey. And also, I think it's going to be important for you to share how you did all this with LinkedIn because so many people are like, can you really find a job with LinkedIn? Is it really worth it? And I have no idea how to do it. And intermixed in here, as we come across maybe some things about accessibility, is it really accessible? We'll call on Jennison to give us some feedback on that too. Oh, we got Dave Steele in the house on LinkedIn. What's up, Dave? He's from over in across the pond, as they say, the blind poet. All right, Matt, take it away. Let's talk about how you first of all, when you got Rift from Microsoft, did you instantaneously come to LinkedIn like, hey, yeah, I'm good? Or was there like a period of time of like, oh no?
Yeah, no, for me it was so I had initially, right, I get the meeting invite, it happens, and then you kind of walk through all these different emotions and things and you kind of wall out. it's almost, I don't know, like downplay when I got diagnosed with Stargardt disease, but it's like you get like punched in the gut and then you're like, all right, time to like get my boots on and get after it. And that was kind of the mindset. And then one of my friends that was also at Microsoft, that was not, he doesn't work at Microsoft anymore. He reached out when I posted it on LinkedIn and shared some really good stuff with me about like, hey, make sure that you're active on LinkedIn all the time, that you're posting, that you're always kind of creating momentum. So immediately that's what I started doing, was just trying to create momentum. I wanted to make sure that I had like pinned posts of like my biggest achievement. I was at Microsoft 11 years and 6 months. And what I did was I created 3 big pivotal posts that had my skills and a lot of the major accomplishments over those 11 and a half years. I took those and then basically broadcasted those, and then was very strategic at how I mentioned people inside the post. You would mention people, you would mention the businesses, you'd use hashtags, like all of those things help cultivate that engine of people being able to see it and it hitting their networks. I even went as far as taking a screenshot of my resume, putting alt text on it, linking my resume to my personal website, allyranger.com, and then linking that and then posting that on LinkedIn. And I mean, it was kind of nerve wracking because I literally just put my resume out there for everybody to see, and my phone number and my email. So it was like a big reach. But yeah, I mean, it was, to answer your question, it was definitely, it wasn't from day one. It was right after I started talking to a few people about using LinkedIn. And then even after that, I leaned way into chasing different roles. I immediately, within the first week, I got LinkedIn Premium because I saw the benefits right away of being able to see everybody that looked at my profile. You get better scope on jobs. Like there's like the premium feature, it's an investment, but it was a good investment for me because I could keep a pulse on everything that was happening on every post of mine, every view. I knew when I applied for a job, I could see who from that company. Okay, did that job stick? Are they watching me? Like, it was really, really helpful.
So, do you know how many jobs you applied for by chance?
Oh man, I probably at Microsoft for roles at Microsoft at least 75 to 100. And then outside of Microsoft, I would say another 50, maybe 75. I actually had an offer from another company, and I was almost ready to accept it. And then a colleague, a friend of mine that worked at Microsoft, was like, "Hey, our team's hiring, and this job's perfect for you." So I actually turned that other offer down, and that was like a super deep spot in my stomach because I was like, "Oh my god, I had an offer. It was a really good offer and a really good company," and I just said, "My work isn't done at Microsoft, so I just like I have to go back." And then that was the open door. So I just hit that full steam ahead.
Awesome. You know, I ended up getting premium also because, and we talk about that. I'm sure Joe will touch on that too, at speaker scale and being able to do the DMs and connections and all that kind of stuff. So, and I wanted to just to get an estimate of how many job applications that you did because I want people to also understand this isn't like the magic.
No,
Oh, you get premium for a month and you'd make a bunch of connections and
yep,
then bam,
yep.
there's the job.
The biggest thing that I learned was when we were at the Grant Cardone facility for Thriving Blind Academy. When I was down there, Grant Cardone called out and said, "Hey, do something every day that makes you feel like you're checking in, that you're." At Microsoft we call it shipping product or whatever. So I wanted to like ship something every day. So I made sure I went on GitHub. I was writing scripts. I was using AI to write scripts. I was doing whatever I could every day to find one thing. If it was a LinkedIn post that I needed to write and post that day, or a script that I wanted to upload to GitHub, or a job that I wanted to kind of follow through, because throughout that whole time, I mean, there was a massive amount of emails, even from the Microsoft jobs that I was applying for. We regretfully are choosing to move forward with another candidate. Like I saw that over and over and over, and the mental side of that was tough sometimes. Of just being like, man, am I ever going to get back in? Does anybody care? And
Do
so yeah,
you think, and this is just a weird question that just came to me thinking about this, with that whole, is this really going anywhere? Am I really going to land anything? Do you think that part of you moving forward and constantly trying was because when you're in motion and actually doing something, it prevents you from that spiral of this is hopeless?
100%. Yeah. If I didn't do that every day and find something to ship or do or execute on, um, I could have easily ended up in a spot where, I mean, I even was when I first got diagnosed with Stargardt disease, which you just get in this slump and you're just like, I can't do this. I'm just gonna, and you like shrink back. And it takes a lot of, sometimes you just got to jump, and sometimes you don't have a parachute and you got to figure out on the way down.
Let's talk content for a second, because you did put a ton of content out there and you were just talking about it. I know that so many folks, especially like I said, my son is now, I'm nudging him to get on LinkedIn, and it's like that. Where do I even begin? Did you just figure, okay, I know about this and I'm going to post about it? Did you watch to see what got
Yep.
the most reaction? Did you care about what got reactions or anything?
Sometimes I did care about the reaction count. What I honestly saw was I tried to post, look at Matt, like all this achievements at Microsoft, like this like prideful like text puke of all my accomplishments. That did okay. Like it got medium reactions. But the times where I woke up and I was mad and I was like, dude, this sucks. Anybody else like thinks this sucks? Like, and I was just completely raw and real and just open. That was where things just, people would click it, they would reshare it, and it would just, things would accelerate and set on fire just because it was more of like it was more transparency versus like self promotion. So I highly recommend speaking your mind, and just sharing that out there, because people will resonate with it, and anybody that's been laid off that's at another company can click in and resonate with that too, and then you build friendships instead of just relationships for work.
Well, and that's what I think was a key element. It was almost like you built a community around, because so many people were getting let go. And where I saw the differential, and that's why I wanted to know more about you and follow you, is it wasn't a this sucks. I hate Microsoft. I hate everybody. It wasn't like that. It was just like, right now for me, this is hard and I'm going to work through it. And I think that was the game changer, the differentiator that made people really want to come in and be part of your community and cheering you on.
Yep. Yeah, and even internally over the 11 years and 6 months, I built a ton of relationships internally. So I had probably, I would say, close to 50 different people watching the job market, like pinging me, sending me text messages, sending me LinkedIn messages. Hey, did you apply for this one? And I can refer you, and like just all of these different things to where I multiple people. And then even the job that I got, I sent out a bunch of flares on LinkedIn and said, hey, I'm applying for this role. Here's the manager's email. Can everybody email a recommendation? And I think at the last count, she had like plus 50 recommendations. So then I started emailing people back on LinkedIn and said, okay, stop. I don't want to like overrun her inbox and get her all mad. So, but yeah, it was awesome. I mean, I think everything's about community, and that's what LinkedIn is. It's a huge community for business, and it can be used for so much more than just business. There's a lot of benefits in it.
Awesome. Okay, so let's pause there and let's switch over to, because you just kind of teed this whole thing up. That was great. It was like we rehearsed it. For Joe, in terms of already having a business and then really watching you grow the business of Speaker Scale, but in such a unique, very niche way. I mean, you are very specific that you help speakers build their business. And being people, I think sometimes people are thinking they have to be really broad out there on LinkedIn to attract a huge amount of people, but you went really drilled down, and that's what you talk about at Speaker Scale. Let's start there for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's great to be here, Kristen. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I think we're coming up on like our 2-year anniversary of, and I would have to go back. I think maybe you connected with Aaron at the time on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn. But yeah, and I'll get into that and the work we do at Speaker Scale and how profitable and just lovely LinkedIn has been for us. I think there's pros and cons to LinkedIn from a business perspective, and we've learned some of the cons over the years, but I think maybe it'd be helpful if I gave a brief overview and how we use LinkedIn and then, how we bring it to our clients. Kristen, so there's
Love
really
it.
two things, and I've changed my bio in LinkedIn recently. We really support the professional speaking industry in two manners, right? Myself and my team in the two companies. So one is through MII Professional Speaking, which is kind of my speaking bureau and agency where we support speaker buyers primarily in the association and corporate space by providing them with top tier professional speakers. So we do a lot of connecting, not as much through my profile, but some of our team members' profiles to corporate buyers in the corporate and the association, the conference market, who are looking for strategic booking partners or a strategic booking partner to help them with sourcing speakers for their events and their conferences that they run. So that's one side of the house. The other side of the house is where Kristen, you and I have been so connected, which is through Speaker Scale, which is where we help speakers predictably launch, grow, and scale their professional speaking businesses. We talk about building a speaking revenue engine, your marketing, your lead generation, your sales, your fulfillment, and then your team and scaling engines for you as a speaker. And through there, if you are a speaker watching this, I'm sure someone from our team has probably reached out to you at some point. We do a lot of outreach for both of the businesses. We do a lot of outreach, and for years now, our primary source of top of funnel lead generation has been through LinkedIn. And we break down LinkedIn, whether you're a speaker, whether it's for your business, whether you're looking for a job, into a couple different components in order to bring leads in or bring in your ideal buyer or just to network. One is like your profile and making sure that your profile is really, really optimized to show exactly what you do and get extremely clear on who you serve, the transformation you take them through, and the unique mechanism that you do that with. By the way, this lens is primarily coming from a speaker's perspective, right? Professional speaker's perspective, but I think it can apply to job seekers and those just looking to network or whatever you're utilizing LinkedIn for. But take this that it's coming through the lens that we know, which is through speakers. So getting really clear on who you serve and how you serve them. That's like the first thing, and making sure that when I go to your profile, I can tell that immediately. And Kristen, I know this is something you worked on, and I'm going to your profile right now, but it's like I know exactly who you serve. Transformational speakers for ERGs and education. TEDx and Keynote, I see in the background you on this amazing stage, creator of the Thrive Code. Like I know immediately Kristin Smedley's a speaker. Here's who she serves. And from there, I'm going to scroll down further. Now, as you scroll down further, we then need to see that backed up, right? So in your about section, in your featured section, in the content that you're posting, we then need to see everything that you're doing within that and the stuff that sort of backs that up, right? So I see a testimonial from a meeting planner. I see some, videos of you at your premiere for the movie. And so, from here, as folks get further down the fold, they can see and learn a little bit more from you. And ideally, they can start to get some value on that kind of area that you're serving. So for that audience, they're starting to get value. Dr. Angela, a speaker we work with, is a sleep speaker. You can go on our page. You see there's all these really valuable tips for corporate professionals on how sleep affects their job, how to get better sleep. If you run into this, here's what you do, bump, bump, bump. And so that's kind of the first piece, is having that profile really dialed in. Once you have that, and you have that base in place, Kristen, and I know you can probably speak to this a little bit. It's starting to do the outreach. So starting to make targeted connections towards your ideal audience or who you want to connect with, or ERG leaders or education leaders who have the opportunity or have a need for your message, connecting with them, sending them connection requests. And then as they connect, really just opening up a conversation with them, letting them know, here's what you do, here's who you do it for, and it seems like they'd be a good fit for that. And just starting to generate those connections, and having those kind of conversations. And Kristin, I kind of want to bob back over to you, because I know this is something that you've now outsourced. You have a virtual assistant team that does this for you, and it's led to leading meetings and conversations for speaking opportunities with some large organizations and well-known brands. But yeah, that's kind of like the basis. And again, for us, LinkedIn has been an absolute, like, in terms of like top of funnel and getting folks that are interested in our services, whether it's for speaking opportunities and paid speaking gigs for the speakers we work with, or it's for speakers coming in to speaker scale for the services that we offer there, and learning some of these strategies in the marketing and lead generation to get paid speaking opportunities. LinkedIn's really been that top of funnel strategy for us. The thing that we're also kind of diving into, and I know this is a little off topic, but is LinkedIn is great for generating those conversations, for starting those. Yes, I'm interested in learning more, right? Or yes, we have a speaking opportunity coming up that we have a speaker for. What we say all the time, just from a business perspective, a sales perspective, is like, for like maybe 5 to 10% of those people, like, it's going to be the right time now, or they're going to be qualified immediately and they have someone right now, and that's great. I think like having processes and systems in place outside of LinkedIn to continue to market to and to continue to nurture those opportunities, for when the timing is right, is incredibly important. So that gets into some of the longer term follow up strategy. One thing that we've really been diving into deeper and kind of that middle of funnel is YouTube, and posting valuable content on YouTube. So getting the people who showed some initial interest to us on LinkedIn, and pointing them over to YouTube where they can dive in deeper. But yeah, I mean, the combination of having kind of your own presence, having your own profile, creating high value, high quality content that's valuable, posting that 2 to 3 times a week on LinkedIn. And then that last key piece, which is constantly doing the connections and making the connections. And again, what we love about LinkedIn is like, you have a profile, everyone else has a profile. So I can go see, who's this person, Kristin? Tell me a little bit more about her. Is she someone that's aligned with the work that I do, right? So you can kind of see and almost get a glimpse of folks, versus like a cold call or a cold email, or it's like everyone has their own MIDI little profile. And so we really like that as well. Is it allows more points for connection, when you're making your connections, when you're doing your outreach, where you can be talking to the right people, and people that you're most aligned with, and you can kind of see that on the front end.
Yeah, I love it. You both, Matt and Joe, were talking about it's action every day, right? Taking action to accomplish the goals. And yeah, and I think one of the biggest things, there's so many that I learned at Speaker Scale for how to utilize LinkedIn. Really, it was that when Dr. Angela in our group talked about, when someone comes to your LinkedIn, what do you want them to know? And make sure that it is targeted. And Matt did this too. Make sure it is targeted to the specific person, like your top person, the top, like I always think about the top, conferences that I want to speak at. When I'm guiding my son building his, it'll be, what are the companies you want to work for when they're coming to check you out? Are you mesh, with that? We wouldn't be sending, I'm not going to be having stuff on my LinkedIn profile that's about how I used to coach soccer, even though that was one of the greatest accomplishments of my life when I coached my daughter. That makes no sense for the person that wants to hire me for, the Walmart program that I got from following all of these steps using LinkedIn, and then having that system to not just be posting content, but to be able to reach out, connect, follow up, and get onto a call with Walmart. And now looking at, this is what I love about how Joe's system is, and the power of LinkedIn, and especially how Matt was talking about using it, building a relationship before we even got on that discovery call. And now we're building something together in 26 at that mega company, right? So it's that relationship. Somebody told me one time, think about all of the social platforms as a cocktail hour. And you don't just walk into the middle of a cocktail hour and start screaming your name and who you are, right? It's like building relationships a little at a time on there. I love it. There were so many similarities in what you both talked about. And really it's the effort, it's action, it's trial and error too, right? Like I know for also I wanted to hone in on real quick, Joe. The biggest thing is yes, trying the different we even how many times do we go through and tweak that one statement of who you are, who you serve, like who does your business serve or me as a speaker serve? What do I want their transformation to be? Or what do they want their transformation to be and how I can make that happen? And we constantly tweak it. I mean, even like I was watching Matt with your when you started with your LinkedIn and when you were first let go and building your community, like things then shifted. Like everybody was all upset, and you shifted right along with it to do more of empowering content and also talking about your journey. And now people are getting back to work and jobs and all that. And you keep tweaking and shifting, which is super cool. Okay, let's shift over now to Janison to talk about, and there's some comments here in the chat that we can address in a hot second. Janison, let's talk about, because you're at LinkedIn, you're the LinkedIn guy. Welcome. So let's
you,
talk about what
Kristin.
you do at LinkedIn, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me. It's great just to listen here because above and beyond me working at LinkedIn, I am a LinkedIn user myself, and I resonated with a lot of what everyone was saying. And as part of my job, so we'll get into that. Part of my job is speaking to folks, particularly folks with disabilities, about using LinkedIn and things like that. But so I've been at LinkedIn since 2013. And my role, I sit within engineering, and my role is I have a number of different pieces to it, but essentially it is to help support making our platform as accessible as possible. So we follow something called the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines in the way we design and build our different screens, if you will. We internally we have a bunch of products, but as users see it as just one big thing, LinkedIn or the LinkedIn app. But there's like many teams that support it. So I have another piece of my job is I have a group of accessibility subject matter experts who work directly with designers and engineers as they're building the products, answering questions on how to make different experiences that much more accessible.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's a short version. I'm sorry. I was just so taken by some of the stuff you were all talking about before. So I don't want to take away from any of that, but just to say that my role is everything you've talked about, Matt and Kristin and I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
And Joe.
And Joe. Sorry, Joe. Everything you've talked about, my job is to make sure that everyone can use all of that to their best efforts, right? And yeah, so that's that. The only other thing I'll say, and I'd love to just pass it back to you, Kristin, is we have, if you go to linkedin.com/accessibility, there's a number of things there. But we know we're not perfect, and LinkedIn, like every other company, is on a journey around accessibility. And so if you are experiencing accessibility challenges or issues, on that linkedin.com/accessibility, you can contact what is called our disability answer desk and flag issues with them. If you're a user of Be My Eyes, we also partner with them. And so you can hook in with a Be My Eyes agent. They can also walk you through any issue you might be going through or help you out. So,
love it. There's actually a question in the chat, Jennison, and this Julia is watching from Florida. What's up, Julia in Florida? And she is looking for help with LinkedIn to promote a new accessibility app for people with ALS and cerebral palsy. She asks if you guys can share how you post videos, pictures on LinkedIn I assume to make those accessible. You want to touch on that real quick, Jennison?
Sure. Well, I mean, we support from a video perspective, we support captioning. We have auto captioning, and if you can also the term is burn captions in if you want. So either on that front. So that's how we currently support video accessibility. And in terms of pictures, you can create alternative text descriptions if as you upload pictures up on feed.
And there's also a question in there about using AI. I have seen that you can, I think it says create with AI. I haven't used that. Are you guys familiar with that? Have you used it, Jennison?
Well, we have been implementing AI throughout our platform. For example, you can use AI to help you crispen up your posts, for example. So that's an option as you're creating a post. There's a button or something in there that says, I think, like rewrite with AI. So that's an option. But we are certainly rolling out different features all the time that are AI driven. I'm not sure, Matt, if you took advantage of that or if that was all. And I too, by the way, was following your journey, and wow, props to you for all the work you did. But I'm curious if you ended up using AI or if that was all just homegrown from yourself.
So I was about 50-50.
Yeah.
I would use I would use AI to rewrite short statements. The thing that I would love to see with AI and LinkedIn is to have it go through and emojify my post. Like that took me the longest time. Every single time I posted was like to click on there, click the button, scroll through all the emojis and go, I want that one. And then like it just took me forever to where like that would be a super rad feature to have that light up automatically. But yeah, I totally used AI to rewrite a few of my posts, the shorter ones, and then I'd also use AI to grab alternative text for some of my images. I would always proof it because AI does hallucinate. It does happen, and sometimes it'll just like say the wrong stuff. It'll say what's in the picture, but is what it's saying in the picture what I want to say about the picture? So I would use it, and then I would just bring that alt text into my image. And then I was going to respond to one of the comments, like any videos that are on LinkedIn, if for some reason somebody doesn't put captions in, like Jennison was talking about, and you're on a Windows computer, you can use a feature called live captions and turn that on, and any audio flowing through your computer will have the captions tied to it. So it'll bring captions up even if captions aren't on the video.
Oh, that's great. That's a good tip there, Matt.
Yeah, it's a good hack. I use it all the time on different websites. We have like a small group at our church, and one of the families spoke Spanish, and not all of us were like fluent. So I turned on captions on my laptop, put it on Spanish, and then everybody. It's a game changer. There's so much accessibility out there in all of our products.
You know, I know that there is a stat, and I can't think of it right now, but the amount of people, it's a huge amount of people that access video on all the platforms without the sound on, and the benefit to captions. When captions, normally, I think people think about captions for the hearing impaired, but when you harness a tool like that, all these folks that are, I mean, so many times I'm scrolling somewhere and I don't have a earphone, so I'm just scrolling without sound, and I'm reading the captions and taking in the information.
Yeah. My wife and daughter do the same when they're watching movies, TV, like anything on the TV or projector. Captions is always on because if it's loud in the house, you can. I mean, it helps. Like it's the coolest thing because it's the pivotal thing with accessibility at Microsoft, LinkedIn, GitHub, wherever, any company, is you build it for one and you extend it to as many as you can.
Yeah, 100%.
It was built for deaf and hard of hearing, but so many people are using it. Like read aloud, dictate, so many of the cool features. I mean, alt text. if an image fails to load due to network connectivity, like I'm sure everybody's seen it, but it'll have like a little pencil on it and it'll say that looks like it's supposed to be an image. And if you hover over it, it will give you the alt text if it has alt text. So it's a really nice way when if you may be in a low bandwidth or a no internet area, and if somebody put alt text on an image, you know what that image is, even though it's not displayed.
Hey, while we're talking about videos and accessibility and all, let's hear from, and this is an informal survey, so I just want to know from your experience. We'll start with Joe in the hot seat first. Video or still shots on your post? What do you see going further, or what accomplishes the goal of the post better, or is it a 50-50?
Yeah. So, well, let me also back this up by saying I don't always practice what I preach. I'm a big like so I have learned and seen with myself generally that the still post with like value driven wording, and maybe Jennison could back this up, but like still post of, let's say, me speaking on stage, or even just me at a coffee shop, or me with my girlfriend, or me with Kristin at a coffee shop, with value driven writing attached to it around. So I do that, and then I say the post that I just posted today without the still shot, if you're a speaker doing X, Y, and Z, next to it, I have found that generally gets more engagement, and LinkedIn pushes that more. I say I don't always practice what I preach because I don't have a bunch of those photos. I'm getting more of them. And so I have so many ideas that I often just write out, like what I did today without a still shot. And there's just like, I just want to put value out there. So I just write out. I enjoy writing. So I'll just do a long written post. It doesn't get as good of engagement. What I found. What I did see though recently, and so that's what's still shot with value driven related to your your EPS and your topic area that you speak on, for speakers, for recruiters, whoever it is attached, generally is going to get the most engagement, is what I've seen. And LinkedIn tends to push that, is my understanding of the algorithm. What I saw recently, and I think it was a sponsored post by someone at LinkedIn, is that LinkedIn is starting to favor more of short video clips. And so again, I don't know, maybe Jennison could speak more to that, but I have generally seen from our clients and have learned that still image shot plus value attached to it, written value post attached to it, is generally the one that LinkedIn's pushing more and gets more engagement.
Interesting. Okay, Jennison, thoughts?
So I can't comment from a product side because I sit within accessibility, so it's a little outside my wheelhouse. But from what I know that we are certainly encouraging people to use video a lot more now.
Love it. Love it. Matt, what do you think in your post?
So for me in my posts, if I look back on them, I rarely used images or video. I was all about like the transparent content, and then hashtags, and at mentioning companies, and at mentioning people, like, because I have no proof behind it. I don't know how the algorithm works, but I was under the impression, like, just like Facebook or any type of social platform, Twitter or whatever, any X or whatever you're on, like, just anytime you start at mentioning people, it lights up their networks too. So that was my whole motion. I didn't do it on every post, but any big post, I tried to make sure I was like at Microsoft, at NFB, at ATIA, and I'd find their LinkedIn accounts. And before I posted, if I didn't know what their at handle was, I would like go search LinkedIn, find them, follow them, so I could tag them in a post. And like I was, but yeah, from an image and video perspective, I think it definitely, videos is where it's at, even like the short bite-sized videos. I've always wanted to do like accessibility stuff in the future on LinkedIn, just as like tips and tricks, because like the live captions thing I brought up earlier, not a lot of people know about live captions. So yeah, it's definitely a way of the future, where people want bite-sized content. But yeah, from all of my posts, I was mainly text and then tagging people.
No, Kristin, it's interesting that we're talking about video because depending on the audience, right? For some folks who are blind or visually impaired, being a creator of video, it might be something new to them. or to us, right? In doing that. So it's an interesting conversation to have. I'm completely blind myself, so I have tended to similar to Matt, to favor writing stuff more than like doing video, because it's just not something that's uh, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not something that it would come necessarily second nature to me to create videos. Now,
You know,
that being said, I want to make it clear there are definitely out there video creators who are blind or who are visually impaired. So it is definitely happening. I'm just an old soul, so I like to write. Uh,
yeah, I'm starting to think it has nothing to do with vision or no vision. It's age. It's us. So, and I will say this too, and this actually you just led me right into the point I wanted to make is I typically like I can create a video, I can just start talking to the camera and get the point across, and that's just how I do things. I've been doing that since my senior thesis in high school. I'm like, can I just make a video? Do I really have to write this thing out? I'm just quicker, and then people catch my vibe and I can just come across better talking. So it takes me longer to write something out and have an image attached. Like that's a longer process for me. But what I'm hearing from all of us here is that go with what style works for you that you can really come across authentically and add in these tips, right? So whatever style, if you're just going to write without a photo first, like as you're getting out there trying all this stuff out, do it. If video is your thing, do it. If it's a still shot
mhm.
with some value content, do it. And then add these little hacks in there, right? Like the at mentions. That's huge to get to the other people's ecosystem. And make sure that your bio reflects that when people that you draw in because of that content, your ideal client, your ideal employer, your ideal whatever that is, you're speaking directly to them. Now they see, oh yeah, she's the one that I want to talk to. So make sure that all of these things and then the bio and all the things that Joe talked about, in addition to, and then you add those accessibility features in, now you've doubled, tripled, quadrupled the people that you're reaching. So I think it's just a little bit of everything, but I would definitely say for everybody that is, because I know I see some folks that have logged in, they've reached out to me, which is why I wanted to create this, because they just don't know where to start. And really the key is start. Am I right?
Absolutely. And one thing I'll mention, I'm not sure if Matt did this as well, but in addition to, doing the at mentions, some strategic asking of certain of your contacts if they would repost your post as well also gets your post moving through to other networks of people.
I love that. I love that. And
Yeah.
we actually, if you're in a community like we are at Speaker Scale, people do that, especially ones that are trying the platform out. And they'll be like, here's this post, go check it out, and especially the ones that I nag. Come on, you're so good on video. Like, get out there and give some info. And then I love cheering folks on. So yeah, I think that that's a brilliant one to have people in your own audience. And also, I always bring up Gary Vaynerchuk, right? Gary V. He always says, go back and look at people that have all the gajillion followers now. He always says, go back and look at Mr. Beast. Like his videos in the beginning were nowhere near where they are now. Or some folks that are really popular on LinkedIn and have really dialed in content, they didn't start out like that, but they started. And that's really kind of a theme here is to get started. Okay, I knew I could talk to you guys all day. Let's think about in terms of wrapping up and in the final minutes here, thoughts on the top 1, 2, or 3 things, you're really drilling down and growing a business, you're just getting started, you're going after that job of your dreams, or you're in the job of your dreams and want to keep adding value and building community. What are the top couple of things that you want people to take away?
Yeah, I think I'll jump in here. My main focus when I was job hunting was to find the jobs on LinkedIn, find the jobs on the career sites. If I found something on a career site, go look up that company on LinkedIn, see who else works there. If I'm already friends with them, ask them for a referral. Ask them so you're basically utilizing that whole network to dial in and get like behind the firewall from that company, so that you can get in there and you can meet people. And then now that I'm back at Microsoft, my mindset on LinkedIn is still similar, but it's not from a job hunting perspective. What I want to do now is make sure that like features and accessibility conferences, like I reposted today, we have an accessibility team that's going to be at Microsoft Ignite, and they have some awesome sessions coming up. So I wanted to like set those out there, and like just different things. But from a 1-2 kind of punch perspective, like if you did anything, I would, if you're starting and you're just looking at that starting spot, use the LinkedIn jobs. There's even a feature with Premium, which was pretty cool, that I saw when I was using mine, was it would look at my resume and everything and then pull that data from it and then tell me which jobs I'd be the top candidate for. So I applied for quite a few jobs like that on there as well. The last kind of tip that I would call out, and it kind of goes in with Jennison's comment about asking others to repost. I had a post about, I took a screenshot of my resume. I linked my resume to my personal website, linked it into the post so people could download it. And then I started it out with my net worth. My net worth is my network. And I said, if you're seeing this, I need you to repost it. It's time to get real. I need help getting a job. Like, and I was just straight up like calling out everybody that saw that post to repost, to share it, to download the resume, send it to people. So I would, if you're a new business, or I'll speak to just like the career side of it. If you're looking for a career and you're laid off, no apologies. Like, ask for forgiveness later on. Like, just jump and start pushing it everywhere, and somebody's going to listen eventually.
And I can totally attest to that, because I must have read 1 or 2 of those posts, because I was sending, when I saw jobs or saw someone, I was sending into your messages. And I will say too, you were very like instantaneous. Oh, thank you for that. I didn't see that. Or yes, I saw that one. It was really great. But you really did build, like, I felt like I was like you're part of the community cheering to make it happen. I love that. Yeah, be direct and say what you're looking for. Awesome. Joe, how about you? Thoughts on business on LinkedIn?
Yeah, good question, Kristin. And I think to end it, I mean, there's so much that I could leave folks with. I would say there's two things, that one that I was more resistant to doing for a while, and then started doing, and two things that, even though we expand into other areas and different channels, I think I will always do, and my team and I will always do on LinkedIn every single week. Um, One is post valuable content. Um, we try to shoot for 2 to 3 times a week plus on our subject matter expertise, that kind of stuff. And I would encourage everyone to do that. These are two things I'm saying we do, but I think I'm encouraging and leaving folks with. And
Mhm.
the other is to ensure that we're connecting with as many folks as possible, and getting as close to our weekly connection limit as we can on LinkedIn. Uh, and I believe that's two things that everyone should be doing, depending on how they're using LinkedIn, personally or professionally. Obviously, probably more on the professional side. But I believe that everyone should be doing. Now, the content piece was the one that we were more resistant to personally. And then I started to see the power of it inside of business, and even personal connections. I mean, Kristin, we met up for the first time in person a couple months ago, but we've been, first you were a client and now have become a friend, and now someone who works with us and supports our clients and speaker skill. And that all started because of LinkedIn, right? And I have
Mhm.
many, many of those relationships, of pretty much, if I backtrack, all of my personal or business relationships, and now many of those who have become close friends, and are people that I talk to daily, they started on LinkedIn. They started from outreach from LinkedIn, or over email. And so it's such a powerful platform. And I think those are really the two things that I would encourage folks to do every single day. One, get really clear on your messaging, clear on who you're for, and what you want to provide value on, or how you're trying to utilize the platform. And that comes back to that first point I made, which is getting clear and having a clear profile that speaks to who you want to speak to. But then, just for a networking, for a business, for a sales, for a lead generation perspective, for just an overall brand building tool, post every single day, or post every single week. and max out your connections and connect with as many folks as you can, and start conversations and start relationships, genuine relationships and conversations on LinkedIn, every single day, every single week. And I think if you do that, you'll see the fruits of that labor over time, and it'll make it easier to do on a consistent basis.
Awesome. I totally agree. I totally agree. And it should also be noted that when you are doing that content and that outreach and whatever and building your network, I can't even tell you, it has to be in the thousands of times that I have heard, and I literally just heard this after church on Sunday from someone. Oh my gosh, I follow you on LinkedIn, and they know everything that I do and talk about, and they've never once have I seen them like or comment. Right? Like, so don't get hung up with the content on are people liking and commenting. People are seeing it when you're putting it out there. And it was so funny because it was a young woman that is friends with my son. And she was like, oh my God, my mom was telling me about the movie you have in the works. And she follows it on LinkedIn. And I'm like, I've never seen your mom on LinkedIn. Like, what is happening? So put the content out there. Okay, Jennison, a couple of things for people to take away.
Yeah, well, my big takeaway is again, go to linkedin.com/accessibility to learn what we're doing. And there's those two features that I mentioned to you, the Disability Answer Desk and the Be My Eyes support, which you can certainly lean on if you run into any issues. And we always like to get feedback because feedback makes us better in terms of getting as we pursue our accessibility journey.
I love it. Feedback is huge in terms of growth. And listen, if you are among the community of blind or low vision folks that is looking to harness LinkedIn, get back in the workforce, and want to join the community of thrivers that have that mindset and bring together people that will help you do that, Thriving Blind Academy is where we are. And I'd also encourage folks to reach out to me if you've got ways that you harnessed LinkedIn, other strategies for getting a job or being involved in a community, and you want to come and talk with our folks in Thriving Blind Academy, reach out, because we love to have speakers. We're not just a community of only blind and low vision, and that's all we talk to, right? We bring in folks from everywhere. And especially if you want to learn more about making your company, your platforms, your websites more accessible, definitely reach out. You guys, I literally could have hung out with you all day. I know how busy this group is. And I still can't believe that we found time that we all could manage getting together and talking for this long. And I appreciate you all so much. Make sure that everybody that is watching this follows these guys, Jennison, Joe, and Matt here on LinkedIn, because you will, just having them in your news feed every day, the amount of value it's going to bring to you and help you build the life and business that you want, they're going to be helpful having in the news feed. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you all. And we'll see you next time.